DocTalk is brought to you by Merck Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.
Hey folks, Dr. Dan here. Thanks for joining me today on DocTalk. We're going to have a great show, although you're just stuck with me flying solo, but we're going to talk about something that you need to be talking about with your neighbors, community leaders, and that's how good a job we do of using antimicrobials judiciously within the beef industry. Thanks for joining me this morning.
As dependable as the sunrise, in dairy parlors, open pastures, on ranches and feed yards across America, a place where reputation is more than a name, where the science of healthier animals is a way of life. It's the responsibility that drives who we are and what we do. Every decision, every day. It's your livelihood and our responsibility.
Closed caption brought to you by AgriLabs, the perfect pairing of performance and value.
This segment brought to you by the new Hired Hand Portable Cow Sprayer. For more information, visit cowsprayer.com.
Hi there folks, welcome to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson here from Kansas State University, and today we're going to talk about antibiotics. And you know, we've heard a lot of talk about the veterinary feed directive. We've heard many times in the news about antimicrobial resistance or antibiotic resistance in the use of antibiotics in production animal medicine. We've also heard about antibiotic residues. And so what I thought today was, let's take a step back. Let's talk about the crucial issues. Let's talk about continuing to get better within our industry. Let's talk about the true relative risk of antimicrobial resistance. And let's talk about how we use antibiotics as a tool, not only for animal health, but for human health. I've worked with many different retailer groups, and one of the things that McDonald's retail did is they did a survey on animal welfare. And when they asked consumers on the street what animal welfare was, if they asked 6 different people, they'd get 6 different answers. And so nobody really truly knew what animal welfare was. But the one thing that came from those studies was that the typical consumer correlates a healthy food product comes from an animal that was healthy. So safe, wholesome food comes from healthy animals. Makes sense. And animals that are healthy are ones that have had good animal welfare or good animal husbandry. We understand that not all animals that receive good animal husbandry are not going to get sick. Some of them will get sick, just like our children get sick. But understanding that the core value of the consumer, or the core thought process of the consumer, is that a healthy animal is one that is well taken care of, and a healthy animal is one that provides us a safe food product. Now, we have to explain to the consumer that we don't want to use antibiotics. When I use antibiotics in animal health programs, that means that animal was sick and we needed to treat it for the disease just like they would if I got sick or got respiratory disease or some sort of bacterial infection. And these are great tools that we have. With the VFD coming, one of the things that consumers really want to see is, are we providing consistent and constant improvement in our systems? You can see that from the USDA, from the veterinary client-patient relationship, from FDA, from industry initiatives within the beef industry, we have continued to get better, and we'll talk about that during the show today. What we want to focus on first in the next segment is we're going to talk about the relative risk of antimicrobial resistance. We're going to talk about going in an industry from just having antimicrobial residue avoidance on our mind to antimicrobial resistance avoidance on our mind. So this is going to be a paradigm shift for our industry, but we also need to understand that we have beef coming from other countries. And if the beef is coming from other countries, if the producers and veterinarians are not being held to the same standards as the consumers and regulation is being held in the United States, I think that's an issue because they're going into the meat counter side by side as the same product. So we'll talk about things that lead up to that. We'll talk about traceability and much more. But it's time that we get real about the antimicrobial resistance issue in this country and antimicrobial regulation and its impact on the beef industry.
This Meet the Future Veterinarian is brought to you by Zuprevo. Choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo for BRD treatment. Kathleen Morris is the 5th generation of a Texas ranching family, and her mother is a veterinarian, so it was natural for her to choose a career in veterinary medicine. Her main interests are in equine dentistry and podiatry, but she also loves working with small ruminants and livestock. After graduation, she will spend the summer working in Alberta, and then return to Texas to work full-time in a mixed practice.
Some call it a come-from-behind victory, an unlikely win, a reversal of fortune, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. This is our moment, our victory dance, because we choose confidence. We choose Zuprevo for BRD treatment. Ask your veterinarian to prescribe Zuprevo. Zuprevo is a fast-acting, long-lasting BRD treatment that you can count on to get the job done. Choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo from Merck Animal Health.
Horn flies are a nuisance and a production loss, so getting rid of the problem is important. What I like about the vet gun is you don't have to go out there weekly to treat them with a topical fly applicant. It has some duration, it lasts. You see the increase in weight gain, it just works. I've used it on our 1,500 cow-calf operation, and it makes me more confident in saying, hey, this product's gonna work on your operation too.
Do your cattle struggle with pink eye, BRD, or another disease? Contact Newport Laboratories for a customized solution. Our custom-made vaccines are produced using the specific diseases found in your area. These USDA licensed vaccines offer potential cost savings on vaccine and labor. Contact your veterinarian or Newport Laboratories the next time your cattle are in need of a custom solution. Newport Laboratories custom-made vaccine, because every situation is different.
This segment brought to you by the new Hired Hand Portable Cow Sprayer. For more information, visit cowsprayer.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson here at the College of Veterinary Medicine at Kansas State University. And we're talking about antibiotic residue avoidance and antibiotic resistance avoidance in our beef cattle supply chain. And one of the things that we have to understand is the one beef concept. And the one beef concept is understanding that if you own cattle on the hoof, if you own cattle in a feed yard, a cow-calf operation, stocker, feedlot operation, if you are a packer that is processing cattle or slaughtering cattle, if you are a hamburger grinder, or if you're a retailer, you're part, or if you're a consumer with beef in your refrigerator, you're part of the beef industry. We're all part of the beef industry trying to work together to provide a safe, wholesome product for the end consumer. And a lot of times we see retailers making decisions on antibiotics and making some snap judgments on something that might get them some market or some press at the point in time. And one of the things we have to understand is that when it comes to our industry, they say the greatest distance between two people is the last 3 feet. And the retailer is the last 3 feet of the beef industry to the consumer. Now, activists, such as animal rights activists or antibiotic activists or different lobbying groups, have agendas and interests to decrease the trust between the retailer. It used to be decrease the trust between the consumer and the beef industry. The consumer trusts us. The consumer is 97% of Americans consume beef. We are on the same team. So now the trust is being eroded between the executives at the retailers with the farming industries. Stephen Covey Jr. just wrote a book about the speed of trust. And in that book it says, as trust decreases, the speed of business slows down and the cost of business goes up. And so while activist groups that may have a hidden agenda of wanting us to not eat meat. What they're trying to do is increase the cost of production by eroding that trust, increasing audits, increasing assessments, loss of technology without due diligence in making snap decisions to just get the activists off their back or to get themselves a first place in a market share just through marketing and getting in the different newspapers or news outlets. So understanding we really have, when it comes to residue avoidance, antibiotic residue avoidance, when you look at FSIS's data, 99.9% of market animals, whether it's hogs, poultry, cattle, dairy cattle, when they go to slaughter, do not have an antibiotic residue. 99.9%. That's tremendous. The infrastructure that we have in this country of veterinarians and producers working together to avoid having antimicrobial residues, understanding the withdrawal system, understanding constant movement forward is tremendous. We all need to be thankful for everybody working together. And when we come back, we're going to talk about how the relative risk of resistance then, not residue, resistance is calculated here in this country. It's going to be a great show. Thanks for joining me this morning. I'll be back after these messages.
The BQA Tip of the Day, sponsored by Beringer Ingelheim Vetmedica, Inc.
Hello folks, Dr. Nels Lindberg here with Production Animal Consultation and Animal Medical Center out of Great Bend, Kansas. Today's BQA Tip of the Day, we're thinking about handling our cows for this fall. Everyone's getting done with fall harvest and thinking about handling their cows and getting them preg checked, moving them off of grass onto whatever residues or pastures they may be moving them to. When we do those things, we think about stress on those cows, and we want to do everything we can possibly do to minimize those stresses. And so cattle handling those cows is a very important thing to think about. When we move them off pasture, gather them, move them to another pasture, move them to another residue, or as we're bringing them in to get them preg checked, we just want to do all we can to minimize hot shot use, cattle prod use, all those things. And it's about positioning and anticipation and pressure and release and focal point on that eye. And we just have to do those things to do the right thing for the cattle, which our people demand that we do the best we can in terms of animal welfare. And there's nobody cares more about animal welfare than those of us doing it. So keep it forefront in your mind, think about it, do it, and keep at it.
Say this is a calf that's been run through the chute a few too many times. Going through the chute stresses cattle, causing them not to eat like they should. Luckily, Pyramid 5 plus Presponse SQ provides proven protection against key respiratory diseases in a single shot, with just one trip through the chute. Talk to your veterinarian about Pyramid 5 plus Presponse SQ, and soon your calves will relax and eat like a whole different animal.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help?
How can we help?
The new Better Horses Network is worldwide. Presented by Lucas Oil. Featuring worldwide radio and TV with iconic hosts like Al Dunning, Sharon Camarillo, Ernie Rodina, Lindy Birch, and Craig Cameron. With American Cowboy, Horse and Rider, Brushy Creek, Cavenders, and Ride TV. Worldwide radio and TV. The all-new Better Horses Network.
Do your cattle struggle with pink eye, BRD, or another disease? Contact Newport Laboratories for a customized solution. Our custom-made vaccines are produced using the specific diseases found in your area. These USDA licensed vaccines offer potential cost savings on vaccine and labor. Contact your veterinarian or Newport Laboratories the next time your cattle are in need of a custom solution. Newport Laboratories custom-made vaccine, because every situation is different.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, Dr. Dan here. Thanks for joining me this morning on DocTalk. I'm glad you're back with us. Now let's talk about antimicrobial resistance. To get a resistant bacteria, basically the bacteria is exposed to an antibiotic, it becomes resistant to that antibiotic, and then is transferred from the bovine to the human. For that to happen in the beef industry, we would have to have first of all, the three bacteria that we are concerned about: E. coli, Salmonella, Campylobacter. So we're talking about a foodborne pathogen. What is the relative risk just starting out of even having a foodborne pathogen in your beef product? Extremely low, okay? We do more testing and removal in this industry than we ever have. We have such sophistication. So the first relative risk is very little of having a foodborne pathogen. The next one is the bacteria, if it doesn't make it through, has to be resistant to an antibiotic, which again is very, very low prevalence. So when we think about the beef industry going from the feedlot to the packer to the processor to the retailer to the consumer, the relative risk of antimicrobial resistant bacteria going from a farm animal to a human being is very low. At the level of the feedlot, we have the veterinary client-patient relationship. We have the FDA approval of products. We have the USDA anti-mortem inspection at the packing plant. We have USDA inspection and USDA testing and private testing of all meat products for foodborne pathogens. When it goes to the processor, we again have USDA inspection and testing. And then at the retail level, you think, well, there's nothing going on there. We have restaurant inspections to make sure the food is properly prepared. Now let's go to a country that potentially is importing beef or exporting beef to the United States. Let's go to Mexico. Let's think about Canada. Let's think about Australia. Let's think about third world or developed countries such as China or India, where we don't have veterinary client-patient relationships. We don't have veterinarians. We don't have FDA approval. We have many generic iterations of products being used. You can buy them off the street corner. There's no FDA, there's no USDA, there's no regulation, but yet the retailers here in this country or the people in this country are saying, we're worried about antibiotic resistance when we have the most regulation, the most sophistication, and we have a continuous improvement in our process. When you talk to the CDC and they talk about animals, the resistant antibiotics going from animals to humans, they say that in the peri-urban areas or the slums of third world countries where animals actually live with the people, and there's no regulation and no veterinary oversight, that's where the superbug could or would be the highest likelihood of being created. If we come back over to the United States, and we correlate that the United States of where our greatest risk of antimicrobial resistance would be, of where animals are living with humans, it'd be our small animals or our companion animals. But yet I've not heard anybody talk about antimicrobial resistance in small animal medicine after Poochie goes and has an itchy tummy and we put it on a cephalosporin at the veterinary clinic, send it home, it grooms itself, drinks out of the toilet, and then licks your child on the face. That's a lot more direct transmission of antibiotic and higher risk than anything you're going to see from our food animal industries. When we come back, we're going to wrap up and talk a little bit more about these issues, but I'm glad you joined me today.
Broadband has become as important to us as highways. That is why DocTalk is teaming up with NTCA, the Rural Broadband Association, and rural broadband companies like Blue Valley Telecommunications in fighting for quality broadband access through the program Smart Rural Communities.
I don't think we have any idea what's coming in the future. I couldn't have imagined 5 years ago what we're doing today. So in 2 years, I would guess there's things we can't imagine that we're going to be doing.
To learn more, visit ntca.org/smart or bluevalley.net.
It takes vision, dedication, hard work. It takes knowing who you can trust. At Zinpro Corporation, we have more industry-endorsed research behind our trace minerals than any other company. Proof that our patented performance minerals help improve overall animal health and performance. Lots of companies make claims. At Zinpro, we generate results.
It's easy to spot the man who uses Synanthic. With lower volume and less waste, Synanthic steps up your deworming routine. Get more deworming with less dewormer at Synanthic.com.
Beringer Ingelheim Vet Medica Inc. knows the importance of beef quality assurance and asks you to step up and get certified. Go to bqa.org for details.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, Dr. Dan here. Thanks for joining me. We're tackling antibiotics. We're talking about the real issues. We're talking about the relative risk. And it's important we get this message out. What the consumer really wants and what the consumer understands is we can't eat the elephant in one bite. We can't solve all problems of all industries, or I can't even solve all the problems with my pickup at once, right? We have to make strong strategy improvements, and we've done that in the industry. So the consumer wants us to just continuously try to get better every day, and we do that. Let's start out in the 1980s. We started out with beef quality assurance. Not only did that address the proper administration of our antimicrobials and address the veterinary client-patient relationship, but it also helped us with withdrawal times and preventing antimicrobial residues in the beef process. Then in the 90s, we got AMDUCA, an Extra Label Drug Use Act. And that really brought in that if you're going to use an antibiotic that is not approved for beef cattle, you have to have extra documentation from your veterinarian and you have to maintain records. That was in the 1990s. The next part of our story is US FARAD, which is a food animal residue avoidance database. And you can call 1-800-US-FARAD if you give an injection to an animal of any product, and they will within 24 hours get you the appropriate withdrawal times and let you know and let a veterinarian know when that animal is safe to ship. Great tool, great infrastructure, great story. Then in the late 90s or in the early 2000s, we as an industry took a voluntary ban to never use aminoglycosides or ginseng to treat cattle because of the 18-month withdrawal time that product has. Lastly, we now have the veterinary feed directive coming forward. So when you look at beef quality, which is going to not allow antibiotics to be used for growth and feed efficiency, and you're going to have a prescription for feed-grade antibiotics just like we do for injectable. So when you look at our story in total to the consumer and how we're tackling antibiotic resistance and judicious use of antimicrobials, we started out with beef quality assurance in the 80s. We went to AMDUCA and extra label drug use. We have US FARAD as a tool. We took a voluntary ban on aminoglycosides, and now we have the veterinary feed directive. It's a great story. It's been a lot of work. I commend FDA. I commend the veterinary profession and beef producers for taking this on to continue to move the bar forward to provide even a safer, more wholesome product and more judicious use of antimicrobials. I hope that beef that's being imported in the United States is held underneath the same scrutiny. Wouldn't that be a shame with the amount of money and taxpayers? This is not something that is just done to support the beef industry. This is something that's done with taxpayer dollars, day in and day out, to provide a safe, consistent, wholesome food supply here in the United States. USDA and FDA, they should be out in front talking about how safe our food supply is. They should be talking about how good we're doing as using judicious antimicrobial usage. and they should stop retailers from making false claims that food products that antibiotics aren't used in are safer or more wholesome, because it's just not true. When we start to think about this, and we start to think about import markets, and we start to think about niche markets that are making claims against the conventional beef production that are false, I have a big issue with that, because we come to work every day to support the beef producers, the veterinarians, and more importantly, the consumers, so that they can afford to continue to put protein on the table for our young children here in the United States of America. Thanks for watching Doc Talk this morning. Remember, you can find us on the web at www.doctalk.tv. Always work with your local veterinarian. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson. I'm a little bit passionate about this subject. Thanks for watching us this morning, and I'll see you down the road. Closed caption brought to you by AgriLabs, the perfect pairing of performance and value.
For more information about this program or previous programs, go to DocTalkTV.com. Doc Talk was brought to you by Merck Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.